Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Showboys podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pixel Nick. I'm joined with our other fantastic host, Chadwick the Third. Chad, how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. It feels like it's been a considerable amount of time since I've been on an episode, but that can't be right, right?
That's absolutely false because
Yeah,
we did House of the Dragon Companion series all summer.
right.
Had like a little break. You had a little break, and then you and Brady did
Demon Slayer.
Demon
So it's
Slayer
been
Companion
that's what it
series.
is. That's what it is. It's been a while since I've been on an episode with you or anybody
Correct.
else besides
Yeah.
Brady. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been you and Brady crushing Demon Slayer for the past 5 weeks, I think, or so.
hmm
Well, 5 weeks or so ago. We're kind of in the middle of a season. I think before Arcane season 2 companion series. Then we'll be doing that this November, December. So that's coming up. But how was Demon Slayer season 4, right?
Yeah. Season 4. Yeah. I mean, it was okay. It was okay. I'll
Oh
be honest.
no.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you watch the companion series, we basically just bitch about it the whole time and how it could have been a
Nice.
movie and not a
Ooh.
season. So if you want more in depth, go
Ooh.
watch the companion series. But yeah, it's all worth it for the final episode. I think the final episode's like top 3 episodes of the show. So
Okay. Oh,
um,
okay, that's good.
it's worth the build up. Yeah,
So it's kind of like House of the Dragon season 2.
yeah. But there was a payoff at the end
Yeah, yeah,
versus not versus no payoff. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
They did confirm that was because of budget cuts that they had to
Oh, did
um,
they?
they had to
Interesting.
adjust things to make it work. So
Yeah.
I think that's how
See.
we lost 2 episodes. That's how the story got kind of stretched and fiddled, I guess. So that's
Well,
what ended up happening there.
I don't get it, man. Whatever. It's like if you're gonna budget cut your biggest shows, then you got bigger problems, right? Like
Very
that's
true.
probably one of the shows that shouldn't have got any cuts, and I think it suffered for it. So
Well, I think the weird thing is that came during the time of I think while they're like either filming or moving into probably I think while they're filming or getting ready to that's when HBO Discovery Warner Bros they were selling or like opening up the licensing for a ton of their IPs, right? To
hmm
be not exclusively to Max. Like that's why you see a bunch of HBO related things, not exclusive on HBO. So it
right.
was during that time, and they're kind of I think they're cleaning their books and they're probably just doing like blanket wide like 20% off of everything. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
they're like, yeah, except this one thing. They're like, no, 20% off everything. And they're like, and that's how you lose 2 episodes when you lose 20% of the budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, they knew from Game of Thrones how expensive the dragons were to animate, right?
You're
So maybe if there were budget problems, they shouldn't have made a fucking show about a bunch of dragons.
mm,
Just a small thought.
so just like, well, I guess it's hard one. It probably came mid all that because it would have been better just been like wait like another 6 months. We would have been okay. We would have survived if it meant we got a full, complete as envisioned season.
Yeah.
Totally would have been okay with that.
hmm
Um, but all that aside, tonight we were talking about gaming. We're catching up on some gaming topics. There's been a lot of gaming news recently, a lot of random events, lots of announcements as we kind of gear up for 2025. We haven't really particularly talked about anything gaming related on the podcast since our Gamescom coverage, which was right before Demon Slayer. So that was episode literally, I think 198, 199. This is episode 200. We have 200 like mainline what's playing, what's watching. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty big milestone. We couldn't pull it together enough to do something extra special, and it just didn't work out timing wise. As I
Yeah, we
think
had
it
like
all came
hurricanes
crunching.
and all kinds
Yeah,
of stuff happening.
I think that was the final straw. Is like Michael was like, there's a hurricane coming, old whatever, Milan. Or what was it? Hurricane or Milton.
Hurricane
Milton.
Milton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of disruption. So doesn't have to be anything special. We're at 200, and we've had way more than 200 episodes of things, anyways, because
Right.
we don't number the companion series, and we've done at least 2 of those this year
Yeah.
in recent months. So we're cruising along. Shout out our top tier patrons. Definitely go sign up to Patreon. definitely funneling a lot of fun content there. We did the Pale Beyond series, that play along series. That's a fun game from Bellular Studios. Get early releases of the episodes as well there, and a ton of other perks. Yusuf H, Tim B, and Joe C. You guys are great, and yeah, I think that pumps it up. I already mentioned Arcane, so I think we need Chad's update on this Red Dead shenanigans. This is your full playthrough times 2 or times 3. You
times
animal.
3. Yeah,
You're
times
a
3.
savage.
So this is a funny one for me because the first time that I played Red Dead 2, I enjoyed it, but it didn't really feel like I really had that much fun playing it. Like when I got done, I was like, yeah, it's okay. But I think the problem there is it was just like a weird bubble that I was in for gaming. Like I was really more into like more linear story driven, lead me down a hallway games at that time. So when this came out, it was just like so freaking overwhelming and beyond anything else. So I played it again and enjoyed it way better the second time. And I played it this third time, and dude, like I can't stop playing it, bro. Like I've tried, I have made valiant efforts to try to stop playing this game. And there have been big games that I was really excited for that have come out in the middle of this that I have gone and played and ended up going back to Red Dead.
Dang, claws deep.
Dude, it's just got like, I don't know that there's ever been a game that's got its claws this deep into me. Like you can say maybe like Tsushima just because I beat it so many times, or Sekiro, but game time wise, dude, nothing. Like absolutely nothing. I could spend an entire day playing this game just like wandering around doing nothing in the game, just like being a cowboy. You know what I mean?
So are you like bleeding through the story, like completing as much as you can as you go? Because really that's kind of how the game is. Because once you kind of, obviously once you get over story beats and arcs, you can't go back.
Right.
So you're just making sure like you do as much as possible each like leg of the story.
So this gets real finicky here because I do unfortunately have like an arrow quiver situation in this game, and that will lead to a conversation a little bit later of what happened to my gameplay. But I started out basically just playing through the story, hitting some side quests, doing like a colossal amount of hunting. I was getting all the trapper sets, all the trapper, like my main focus goal of the entire game was to get every article of clothing, which is a hell of a hurdle in this game because there are some that are, I mean, there's one where you have to complete all of the challenges just to get a specific outfit, and there's like 90 something challenges. So that was really my main focus through a good chunk of it. But I eventually, you beat Red Dead, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you haven't played Red Dead, we're going to have to talk about spoilers here for a second. So just dip out for like 5 minutes maybe and then come back. You've been warned. So at the end of the game, obviously, Arthur Morgan dies in whatever various fashion you choose for him to die, however your gameplay is going at the time. And you take over as John Marston, who's the character from the first game. I fucking hate John Marston. I can't stand the way he looks. I can't stand the way he talks. I can't stand everything about him. Okay. So for the longest time, I was playing as super sick Arthur, chapter 6, like withering away to nothing Arthur, just because I did not want to make that switch over to John because I knew I didn't like him. So a good chunk of my gameplay probably came in chapter 6.
Okay.
Until it got to the point where there were like some horses that I really wanted that you can only get in the epilogue. And it was just time. I had to move over to Marston. So I moved over to Marston and eventually found out exactly what I found out the first 2 playthroughs is that I can't stand him. I can't stand the way he talks. He's always yelling. The first map from Red Dead, while it's cool in this game that they added almost the entirety of the map from Red Dead 1, there's just nothing fucking down there to do. Like there's very little. It's nothing like the main map in the game.
Right.
So I got my horse I wanted, and I found a glitch that would allow you to basically start a new game plus in whatever chapter you want. So there is a tunnel at the end in the epilogue that you can go into. You can stand under a specific light in this tunnel, and then you can replay a mission from any chapter, and you will
Oh,
immediately die. You won't even start up into the chapter, and then you will respawn as Arthur with the horse that you can't get outside of the epilogue and all your upgraded stuff, all your upgraded guns, everything. The
right.
only thing you lose is your outfits, which sucks because I spent a lot of time going through and getting those outfits, right? But instead of going all the way to back to like chapter 1 and playing all through it again, I did chapter 4. So I have healthy Arthur. He's not sick
Yeah.
yet. He's not showing any signs of sickness. In chapter 4, there is a mission that allows you to save with cheats on. So I was able to get all the rare horses with cheats, upgrade them all to 4
Holy
bond
crap.
level, get all the outfits with a cheat code, and then save, which you shouldn't be able to do. You're not allowed to save with cheats on in this game. But with
Right.
this glitch, you're allowed to do that. So I'm currently, that's where I'm at. I'm cranking through the challenges. I think I have.
That's a lot of gameplay functionality for a glitch. Seems
It
like it's
is.
intentional.
And really it kind of, to bring back the arrow quiver thing, it kind of, this was a big part of it too. While I hate John Marston and I can't stand playing as him, what I can't stand more than anything is that damn satchel that they wear. That's like the purse that they wear. Like, I
Yeah,
don't want my
yeah.
cowboy to have a purse on. That's just
Come on,
me. It's
man.
my thing. It's like the exact same thing as an arrow quiver. When you play as Arthur, there is a glitch that allows you to get rid of that satchel, but that goes away when you play as Marston. So really my whole driving force, besides getting the rare horse in the epilogue on Arthur, was to get back to Arthur so I could remove that damn satchel and play the
Yeah.
game I want to play. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting with healthy buff Arthur, who looks great. Rare
Buff.
horses across the entirety of my stable. I'm getting damn close to doing all the challenges. There's only a couple left. There's going to be a couple that are going to require me to probably glitch again to get back to the epilogue map. So it's quite the web of nightmares that I have going on here, because there's a couple herbs you can't pick until you get over there as well, and a couple animals. So, but I do want to talk about one of the challenges, which literally took me like a month to finish this one specific challenge. So, did you do any of the challenges?
Name a couple.
So there's I think there's like
Yeah.
nine
It's coming back
different.
to me.
Yeah, like horseman,
There was the challenge card.
gambler.
Yeah, the card screen where
Yeah.
basically you rank through them. Yeah. I actually progressed some of those decently far. I finished a few, but yeah, I definitely was working on the ones I liked that kind of favored my game's play style.
Yeah. So I started kind of cranking through those before I made the switch on the glitch. But unfortunately, this one just ate me alive, dude. And it's really like, whoever made this challenge at Rockstar needs fired like immediately. Absolutely immediately needs to be fired. So the challenge is Gambler 7, I think is what it
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
And the challenge is to play blackjack, hit 3 times, and then win. Now, if you know anything about blackjack,
Yeah.
that's virtually freaking impossible to hit 3 times without busting.
I think I got to that point. Because I do remember I did have a good stint on the gambling one, sharpshooter. I was always working on, because I remember I kept riding the dang train to try to get the birds like while moving or something. It's like a very specific bird too.
Yeah.
That you get while moving, and then the hunting one. I swear I was glitched out in it because I was in those like geyser area and it just was not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so it's Gambler 8 actually is the one. And not only do you need to do that, which for the record, you might be able to hit 3 times and not bust once every hour in this game. So not
Right.
only do you have to not bust, you also have to win the hand. Okay.
Mhm.
So if the dealer beats you, it's a wipe. That doesn't count. And then on top of that, it's not like you have to do this thing one time. You have to do it 3 separate times.
That's
So you have to
rude.
hit 3 times, win the hand 3 separate times. So I finally did it last week. I finally just
That's
sat
just
down
an
and was like,
RNG like
it's
grind, basically.
yeah. And we know from the podcast my RNG sucks.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
way it is. I mean, it's a rarity that I get good RNG in a game.
Yeah. Effectively, in blackjack, you would have to satisfy that. You basically have to just get 3 cards to get you up to 21 or 4 if you hit 3 times, right?
Yeah.
So that's the crazy thing is like really to win in that situation, you
It's
got to
rough.
hit 21.
Yeah, you have to hit 21 because
The
it happened to
dealer has a
me.
good hand at
Yeah,
that
it
point.
happened to me multiple times where I would like hit 19 and then the dealer would flip a 20 and okay, well, you're done. That
Yeah.
doesn't count. But that, that's a out of all the challenges, that was the one that really hit me. There's 2 more left in Gambler that I have left. It's a win dominoes, 3 domino games in a row. I don't know how to play dominoes, so that's going to be a hurdle.
Yeah.
And then the 3 poker hands in a row is the final one. I think I'll be all right with that. I'm pretty good at poker. And honestly, I have so much money now because of that glitch. Because you can also just dump yourself with money using the cheats too. So I have like $9 million or something ridiculous
Yeah.
in the game.
You're rich.
But man, there's just I tried to go from Red Dead to Black Myth Wukong, which is a game that I have been waiting for.
Yeah.
I had a
That game
countdown
looks
on my phone.
with the like
The
traditional
Monkey
like
King.
Chinese Monkey King
Yep.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I played it. I played a good chunk of it. I didn't get anywhere near beating it, obviously, but it's just like, I don't know, dude. It just keeps drawing me back no matter what I do. I cannot find a game. The most recently, which failed today, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I was like, okay, maybe it's that Rockstar open world that I'm craving, and that's really what it is. So I'll play Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's just not, dude. It's just I can't stop playing Red Dead. Like I don't know what's wrong with me.
There's a difference there because like Grand Theft Auto is way more sandboxy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really kind of like you in this like semi-organic world, whereas like Red Dead is like you're playing against the world. Like it's a very organic world. Doesn't feel as much as like a sandbox as you're kind of exploring a very complete whole world. Whereas
Yeah.
like Grand Theft Auto has plenty of nooks and crannies that are just empty,
Right.
hollow,
And the thing that I noticed, at least playing Grand Theft Auto, and I'm not normally real strict with this stuff, like it's almost impossible to play that game around kids. Like it's just not it's not like Red Dead. Don't get me wrong, Red Dead is a very adult game, but it's not your classic tongue-in-cheek sex jokes Grand Theft Auto that you don't really get any of that in Red Dead. It's violent, don't get me wrong, and you're doing bad stuff in it, but it's not on the level.
It's like how I play Forbidden West when my son watches me. I mean, he's like 4.5, so I stay away from the missions. I don't do certain like activities, but like I hunt machines. I go knock out like all the stuff on the map and do stuff like that because he enjoys watching me do those things. So like that would be how you can play Red Dead. Like, you could hunt, you can ride horses, you can do the racing, like gamble, whatever. There's tons of stuff just existing in the world. Whereas, yeah, don't do the stories, just stay away from certain things. Grand Theft Auto, no, you can't.
You can't because
Because
everything has it.
everything is
Yeah.
offensive in that game. And it's
And
designed
especially once you get Trevor, because just swapping to Trevor, you're going to see something
ridiculous.
Crazy. You know what I mean? Just swapping to that character.
It just can't be done.
You're right on Red Dead, where it's just, I mean, dude, I think my game timer is incorrect on the app because of my glitch. I'll try and pull it up here and see what it says, but I don't think it's accurate. But a good chunk of my time has just been spent hunting or existing in the world, going to restaurants, playing blackjack without the challenges, like having fun playing blackjack, playing poker, just exploring the world. There's a ton of secrets in this game too, some of which I didn't even know existed, and I played this is my 3rd playthrough of the game. And there are some things like the dinosaur bones. don't remember that at all from my
right?
first 2 playthroughs.
Yeah. I did a little bit of that. I think that one kind of got boring to me. Did you do the this is a side quest. It just seems so random. It's the one where it's like I forget if it's Tesla or whoever, but like the electricity like laboratory.
No. Mm-mm.
Dude, it's off in the mountains. I couldn't tell you how to get there without looking it up, but like it's like way off in the cut of like late game mountain area. Um where it's like it starts to kind of turn the snow, but like dude's got like a laboratory of like electricity off
Yeah, I
in
have to
the
check
and you
that. Yeah,
gotta
I
you
haven't
gotta
found
help
that.
him align the pylons or something. It's
Oh
wild,
yeah,
dude.
that's crazy. I didn't know that existed. So, um, the thing about the game is like I don't know if it's so if you go into like your progress in the game, it will say like strangers, which is like the side quest. It only
Yep.
says 10, and it says I'm 10 out of 10, but I'm like, there's way more than 10 stranger missions in this, and I still have ones on the map that I have not
Um,
completed. So
I think strangers are they're the ones that they're extended storylines in the game. So like all the people you do meet and do stories with aren't those strangers.
right,
They're like mini bosses, if you
yeah,
will, of
mhm,
storylines where like their sub arcs are significant amounts of time.
right,
Like I think the girl up in maybe not the girl that like obviously you can let her die if you never check in on her. I don't know if she's a stranger, for example, but
yeah,
maybe
yep,
she is because she has. That's what's confusing is like she might be because she has a pretty big storyline if you pursue it versus
right.
you don't know if you don't find the stranger and do all the stuff because
Exactly,
it
and
lets you like forget about you could have met
it
the
does.
stranger that you don't have. You have 9 out of 10. You could have met them, done the start first mission, and then never followed up.
Yeah, and I think it's chapter specific as well. I think you lose access to some of these if you
Oh,
move
for sure.
chapters.
Yeah,
So yeah, but dude, there's just like a absurd amount of stuff to do in this game, and
that's insane.
I don't know what has sunk its claws so deeply into me. But like this is not normally how I play games. Like normally, so the game timer on my app says 112 hours, which just seems impossible that I've only played 112 hours, even though that sounds
Right.
like a lot. So I don't know if something got mixed up with the glitching there, and it glitched me back to my time in chapter 4 originally, or what happened. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've done all the I'm not obviously in real life, I'm not a hunter. Like I'm a nerd. Like I'm not going out into the woods for anything, let alone going out into the cold woods to shoot something. That's just not my jam. But in this game, dude, a good chunk of those hours were spent hunting. I hunted all the legendary animals. Obviously, I got all the trapper outfits, so I hunted all those animals. But it's just fun, dude. Just tracking the
Yeah.
things and trying to find out where they're at and getting the good shots on them. Um, and there's such good like just organic things that happen in the world. Like you'll be hunting there was a couple times I was hunting like elk up in the mountains and got
Mhm.
attacked by like a grizzly bear that came out of nowhere, and it was like not a planned event. It just happened to be there. Same with like the cougars and the panthers. Like those things are freaking horrifying in this game, dude. Like
Yeah.
I can't stand fighting those things. So there's just a lot of good organic stuff that happens off the beaten path, off the story, off mission. And that's really, I think that's what Rockstar does so good with their open worlds are those things there, where some games struggle to do an open world story while trying to manage the stories you're going to make for yourself inside of that game.
Yeah.
Rockstar, it's all blended together, so nothing sticks out. Like there are certain things. Like I always bring up Watch Dogs 2 as a prime example. Um, so Watch Dogs 2, you play as like a college hacker, basically college aged hacker who's doing this like activist kind of thing. But you're also like murdering mass quantities of people in the story, right? But he's trying to be like an activist. So it just doesn't jive. Rockstar is always good about bringing the stories that you're going to tell on your own in the world together with the actual story that they're telling
Right.
to. And I think I think Red Dead 2 does it the best out of anything.
Oh yeah. Just because like how you can just embody Arthur and
Yeah.
just be Arthur in your own version of Arthur, but still the mainline Arthur. And I think that's the bit that they got right there for sure. Because you're not playing a linear character. The character will vary depending on how you
Yeah.
play. Um,
And the thing that, and this was what I felt like was missing from Ghost of Tsushima, for example, is there's a lot of immersion things in this game that allow you to
right.
be just sunk into this, and that whether it's going to restaurants and getting meals and eating and staying the night and making sure you keep your weight up, because I like buff Arthur. I don't want skinny little Arthur. Like, I want his arms to be buff. So you have to eat at specific times every time to make sure you're not losing weight. You have to eat before you go on a long trip. If you're going to go on like a train trip or something, I got to get some food in me so I don't lose weight by the time I get there. And there's just
Oh,
so much. There's so
it's
much
got
that
that.
goes
It's got
into
it's
it.
got the San Andreas mechanic where you
Yeah.
gotta keep up with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do wish that the Red Dead 1 map was more filled out with things to do.
Yeah, that would have been a nice like DLC update, like just to flesh that out.
Just to flesh it out a little bit, because it is cool that they put it in there and it is cool to explore, but there's just not a lot going on there. And it also drives me nuts that you can't get there as Arthur. Like, I want to explore that map as Arthur. But when I think of like the Wild West, that's the map I'm thinking of. Like
Yeah,
the desert,
right.
Arizona, Texas, whatever. That's the kind of map that I want in a cowboy game. Not to say that the original map for Red Dead 2 isn't fantastic, because it is. It's got
Mhm.
wildly varied locations. We get like Louisiana, which I think is really cool. I don't know really what roads is based off in the game. I think it's supposed to be Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, maybe. That's the
Uh,
vibe I get, at least.
I mean that could also just be greater Louisiana too,
Yeah, it could be.
just
It's the
outside the
same
bayou.
state.
But
Yeah,
it's like Georgia, Alabama. It's the South, right? And then you
yeah.
have or Mississippi. It could be Mississippi to some degree, but it's definitely it's all over the place. But the way they blend those areas together is also so fun because then
So
you have
good. Yeah.
New Orleans packed in there, but like right outside New Orleans, it's not far a ride till you're in the plantation
Right.
zone.
Yeah.
But then you got like the Rockies and all that stuff out there.
Yeah. And I
Yeah, I
love
guess
love being up there in the snowy mountains. Like,
yeah,
normally every other game primarily that I've ever played, I don't like being in the snowy region because I just don't think they do it very good. Like Ghost of Tsushima's third region that's all snowy is trash to me. As soon as I get to that, I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way everything's just so bright, but something about the way Red Dead does it, their snow mechanics are freaking incredible. Like,
yeah.
just the path that you leave in the snow.
The big
Yeah.
steps you got taken, and like you
Yeah.
feel the weight of like moving in the snow,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And it's funny because so before I did that strange with the guy did it with Alex, we did like just a test episode for a video game podcast. And one of the articles, this was before Red Dead came out, Red Dead 2 rather. One of the articles was how the horse's testicles shrink in the cold.
Yeah,
And that actually happens in the game. And that even though it's like a gross thing to talk about,
yeah.
it shows just how much thought they put into this damn game, dude. Like, somebody was like, wait a second, their balls would definitely shrink in the cold, so we have to put that in the game. Like, why was that even a
It's gotta be
conversation? But
real.
it's got to be real, dude. And just I mean, it's probably the most realistic open world that I've ever played. Straight down to the way that people die. Like, you shoot them in the leg and they like limp off and try to crawl before they bleed out. Like,
Yeah,
it's just it's an incredible world. And I'm bummed that it has never got a PS5 upgrade. There's rumors that it might be coming. There was like a trailer that leaked, maybe. And I was
they
like, oh,
should.
of course, after I just dumped freaking probably 400 hours into this game, they're going to release it. But I couldn't wait anymore. And the thing that I've noticed is I don't know what it is that's causing it, but I've played several 60 FPS games trying to get out of this Red Dead kick and going back. And normally that would totally
Yeah,
jack me up, and I couldn't do it. It's not even noticeable in Red Dead. So I don't know if it's the way they handle the motion blur on the 30 FPS that makes it feel smoother, but it's not noticeable at all. So
well,
I think that's why I
it
think
might.
that's why.
I mean, I think it has a more controlled like camera movement, so like that might help too. because like the camera, you don't have as much control over the camera as you think you do all the time, because the camera does have like a more dynamic movement, which I think
Yeah.
allows it to like help, because there's in the way I play, there's very few moments where I'm like whipping around. Like if I get shot and like I like take a tumble, I have to like get back up, and it's like a
Yeah.
slow a deal to like get pointed in the next direction. So I
Right.
think the way they handle like the immersion of just the way you move doesn't allow itself for like some like neck breaking
Yeah.
turn the camera, which causes the tearing, which causes the blur and all the horrible things.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, because if you compare it to, because there's just not a lot of fast movement in this game. You're a cowboy, the
Yeah,
fastest you're going is really on the horse, and that's really not, you're not comparing it to like Spider-Man 2 where you're zipping through the city on a
right.
web, where you need that 60 FPS to make everything smooth and stay together. There's not a lot of fast movement in Red Dead, so you're not, that's probably a big part of it too. But dude, the
Yeah,
game's beautiful even today, even though it came out in 2018, I think. It's
that sounds right.
gorgeous. I mean, it's a gorgeous game, dude, and it is. Yeah, I can't stop thinking about it.
I know
I can't stop playing it either.
you maybe want to go back and just replay it. But I have plenty of other things I want to play though that I need to play. So I should
So
not go back and play Red
yeah,
Dead. Even though
so
it's a lot of fun, there's
it
just so
is.
much in that game to do, and that's where they've nailed it. Where it's like, well, it's also a comfort thing. Like you know how to play it. You
Hmm.
have plenty of things you want to do. It's fun to go do. So it's kind of like, for me, like Civilization games where it's like,
Yeah,
I don't have to really think a lot or learn a lot or invest too much of like I just jump into like the driver's seat and I just know what I'm doing and it's like relaxing. Whereas like when you pick up like I've struggled with this over the weekend. I had the Steam Deck on Saturday night and I had some time before bed, but I was like deathly tired. That didn't help. But I was trying to find a game to play and like I would boot up one. I booted up like three and I'd start to set up a new game. I'm just like one of them was War Tales, and like I went.
hmm,
They wanted me to build my party, and I was like, oh, I really just don't care to like
yeah,
invest any thought into this right now. I was
yeah,
really tired, but also I struggle with that all the time. Like if there's just too much to like digest, like invest the amount of like time into it to enjoy it, it really hinders it. I'm like, I'm just gonna go play something more familiar.
yeah, man. I mean, this is, yeah, that's been really. I mean, you nailed my experience trying to get out of Red Dead, where I have tried literally like 10 different games, some of which are like top 5 games of all time for me, and it's just
Yeah,
not. It's not jiving. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just start these games and I'm like, I could be playing Red Dead right now. Like, why am I trying to get out of this? Like,
yeah,
I could be just chilling at the freaking saloon, getting in drunken fights and playing poker. Or I could zip around the city as Spider-Man. I tried Spider-Man. I tried Black Myth Wukong. I played Outlaws for a good chunk of time. Um, Grand Theft Auto, obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5, Ghost of Tsushima, Rise of the Ronin. I mean, I've tried everything to pull me out of it, and it's just nothing. Is even tried Red Dead 1. I even downloaded the remaster of Red Dead 1. Not
ain't
jiving.
ain't working,
Not working.
ain't working.
Yeah.
I mean that's also though why I was able to 100% platinum Zero Dawn, and that's why I will eventually do the same to Forbidden West, is because the level of quality and just comfort I have with those games, it's easy for me to pick up like at
Yeah.
any time of the year and just play an hour. Then all of a sudden, like I've dumped 8 hours into it that week and I've knocked out a good chunk of the game.
Yeah.
So like I'm like at 55% on Forbidden West, and that's through probably two, I think, major like play cycles where like I knocked out like 20-30%, then I just got like over the next hump. So I'm due for another one, but it's just like the games when they're that kind of just, it's the open world ones too, where they're like they just have that level of completeness and like just keep you busy. There's always stuff to do, and like I don't have to do story missions in Horizon. I can go complete all the numerous side things that are fun to go do. And that's what Red Dead has too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think Forbidden West was on my list of games that maybe I should download, and that would pull me out of it. I have not done so yet. I do want to play Burning Shores really bad. I would love to go through New Game Plus on Horizon. So that might be in my future. Plus, then maybe we could do an episode on it, which would be sweet.
Yeah.
But I haven't decided. Like, I really do want to try and get the platinum on Red Dead, but it has one of my like blacklisted type of trophies, which are online trophies. And a good chunk of them as well. I think there's like 5
You
to
can't
10
platinum
online.
the game without going online?
No. And I hate that. And Rockstar does that a lot. That's like a Rockstar thing. And I get it. They're trying to maybe push people to their online shit.
I get why, but it's dumb.
So I have
you can platinum like Forbidden or Zero Dawn. I platinumed the base game, then you can platinum
that's how most
DLC.
games are. Yeah, that's how most games are. Or they have a separate online section for their trophies. Yeah, it's all together here. And even like, I mean, even some of the base trophies are going to be one hell of a hurdle. Like Rockstar does their trophy list pretty difficult most of the time. But I have played a pretty good chunk of Red Dead Online, which is not my thing. Obviously, I don't play online. I played it because there's really freaking sweet outfits you can get online. It's a totally different feel to the world. There's a lot of different stuff to do. There's a lot of different added in like missions too. It's not just like they kind of developed this with Grand Theft Auto Online, where they're bringing in characters from the story mode and then building out new stories with cutscenes and voice acting and everything, which I appreciate. And Red Dead has that as well. I just played a little bit of online today, actually. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, dude. It's just fun in any capacity that I play it. So it just can't get enough.
It's a good
one. And it has led me into, obviously, you know how I build my content bubbles, right? That's why when you said Wyatt and Earp, I was like, absolutely, I'll watch that because it's right in my wheelhouse. But I started watching Yellowstone.
Oh,
which, for the record, so far I'm like maybe 80% through season 2 is phenomenal.
Wow,
great show. Yeah, so good so far. I always stayed away from it because it just feels like it's like the show that my grandparents watch. You know, like everybody's grandparents.
A boomer stigma.
Yeah, it does.
I think because it's just one really good, but also really accessible to them because it was on like Paramount or where the hell it's on.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But yeah, I don't hear anyone say anything bad about it.
Yeah, it's really good, man. I'm not gonna lie.
And then they have the old like the one that's set in the 1700s, right? And
there's one that's set in, I think, 1899 and then 1923. Yeah, 1890. I mean, that's right there. Yeah. Then 1923, which is like the next step up. But yeah, I watched a little bit of 1899. I stopped because I was like, maybe I actually started watching that first because that was more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Even though Yellowstone, even though it's a modern day thing, it's still very much in the Red Dead wheelhouse. Like it's still got the same vibes going on. They're cowboys. So just modern day cowboys.
Yeah.
But it's good, man. I mean, it's great storytelling, great acting. Just for the shots of Montana in general, it's like some of these shots are like, Jesus, it's freaking beautiful out there. I'd never want to live there, but it's beautiful out there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
nice. Finally got a showboy watching not Tombstone. We all watched
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you play a little bit Outlaws. I have not picked it up or anything. But I would like to hear your thoughts on Outlaws.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like such a.
Did it suffer because of Red Dead?
I think it did suffer probably because of my Red Dead heroin addiction I have going on currently.
Yeah.
But that was the game that I played the longest out of all the games that I tried to break away. I mean, I think I played maybe 30 hours of Outlaws.
Okay. That's a good chunk.
But that being said, it is like the most okay game I've ever played in my life. Like it doesn't really do anything new.
It's okay. Aggressively mediocre.
Aggressively mediocre. And it sucks because it is a shooter. Okay. Third-person shooter. And the development studio, Massive, is responsible for two of my favorite third-person shooters of all time in The Division and The Division 2. They know how to make a good cover-based shooter. They've shown that. I don't know what the hell happened here on Outlaws, because if they had just taken the mechanics from their cover shooting mechanics out of The Division and put them into Outlaws, this game would have been stellar. But it's just okay. Yeah, I think it's the big problem I have with it is it's got a hefty amount of Disney Star Wars paint on it. So there's a lot of, I don't know,
You
it
feel
just
like
feels
you're at the
very
theme
Disney.
park.
Yeah, you feel like you're at a theme park, which is fine. There's I think 4 planets in the game. The only one that I really enjoyed in the slightest bit was Tatooine, just because that felt
sucks.
very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um,
But that sucks when
It's-
the most visited planet in the entire franchise and IP is
is the best, right? Yeah.
like
And
you think they'd like nail some new planets every once in a
yeah,
while.
I
But
mean,
Tatooine, man, can't get enough of that desert.
let me look up the planet list, because I thought it was quite baffling, the planet list that they went with. Just because I'm like, I don't even think I've heard of half of these planets.
Well, that's the other thing. There's numerous, like they are kind of in the territory of just making up new planets.
Right.
For a long while now. Before they were kind of blending them, like Rogue One era, they were definitely blending a few new, a few reused, but like now they're really, outside of like the three, really outside of Tatooine, they just do all new planets plus Tatooine.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of
Yeah.
like the mold, which is kind of annoying.
That's it. That's it. And it's funny, and so the planets are Toshara, which I don't know if I've ever heard of that. There is one of these that was made up for the game. That might be it, Toshara. Tatooine, Akiva, and Kijimi. And Kijimi is really not even a planet. It's like the city of, and I think Kijimi is from Rise of Skywalker, like that snowy place they go to in Rise of
Oh,
Skywalker.
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that's Kijimi. But you don't get to Tatooine until later in the game. So it was like taking me a long time to get there. And then by the time I got there, everything on Tatooine feels so Wild West that I was just like, dude, I could just be playing Red Dead right now. Like, you know what I mean? Everything here
Yeah.
feels so, like, she has a quick draw you can do, which is cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's just everything. It's just okay. It's like the most okay Star Wars game that I've ever played, and that sucks because it had such strong potential, and I
Is
think
it
they need
finished?
to.
Like, do you feel like it was
It's not.
finished? It's
No,
not
I
unfinished.
think, yeah, it's definitely unfinished, and it definitely could have used. It probably could have used another 6 months in the oven to iron out. I think the problem that I have with all the other planets, especially Akiva and Toshara, is there's a lot of performance problems there. Akiva is like a rainy rainforest type planet, so it's always raining, so it's very taxing on the frames, obviously. Tatooine runs great because there's nothing there. It's a desert. There's really nothing going on. But it was cool to see like a fully fleshed out Mos Eisley, which is huge in this game.
That's good.
The syndicate system I thought was cool, but not implemented in the way that I would have liked it. You basically have like, I think 4 different factions in the game, and you can like side with one or the other on almost everything that you do. So if you side with one, it's going to piss off one of the other ones. So if you go with the Hutt cartel on this, it's going to piss off the Pikes and vice versa. So that was cool to mess around with a little bit. I just the main character is kind of like just so boring to me. It sucks because I've always been the person that has said like, you can make a Star Wars game without a lightsaber. You know what I mean? There's so many other stories that you could tell in this universe that does not involve a lightsaber. And this is really the first one that's really tried to do that in a big open world capacity. And I think they failed. And I think that you're seeing the fallout from Outlaws splintering out through a lot of Ubisoft right now. And I think that's the big thing right now is they saw how this failed, and they don't want Assassin's Creed to go down the same path. But yeah, is it worth a play? maybe in a year when it's ironed
Patched up
out
and
and they got everything
$20.
patched up. Maybe some DLC in there to flesh out a little bit. There's a lot of stuff to do in it. Just none of it is really that fun.
Right.
Even the
Or
space stuff
interesting.
kind of sucks, you know?
Aggressively
And
mediocre.
aggressively mediocre. And with them kind of selling this as the first open world Star Wars game, it's not any more open world really than Jedi Survivor was, where it's
Right.
multiple planets to go to, 4 of them, which is not open world in my eyes in Star Wars. 4 planets to go to, and they couldn't even nail that down and get that running properly. So, um, keep your money in your wallet. I would think maybe pick it up on like a $20 sale. Might be worth it at that.
Yeah, but then there's just Red Dead if you want to be a
There's just
gunslinging.
Red Dead. Yeah, and it was like, I was trying to when I picked up Outlaws, obviously I build these content bubbles, so I had to get out of the cowboy stuff. So I went to the Star Wars stuff. But the problem with Star Wars is the same when I said about Tatooine. So much of Star Wars feels like cowboys, So
Yeah.
whether you go and watch Clone Wars and you see all the cowboy shit going on there with Cad Bane, like he's
Yeah.
quick drawing and stealing hats and shit. I'm like, dude, I can do that in Red Dead. Like I can kill somebody and steal their hat. Like that's so cool. I
Yeah.
should go play that game instead of this. But
Yeah. Yeah, and that kind of leads to the other thing I want to talk about is Ubisoft. In their they're kind of on the struggle bus. I mean, they're not struggling, but like they're trying. I think the gaming community is trying to put them into a corner, and like right that ship a little bit because they make great games and everyone, for the most part, everyone generally likes playing Ubisoft games and looks forward to them, whether it's Assassin's Creed or the Splinter numerous games and IPs that they have.
yeah,
But like there is that trend, like you said, of like which is kind of surmised itself into Outlaws perhaps a little bit. But like it's been, we've been on this trend line for 5 years at least, if not longer, in terms of like how these games are playing out. And
yeah,
I hope they pivot a little bit and address a lot of that in Shadows. But still, there's a lot of things that are unchecked about like Shadows, which is like how they're pricing them out, right? And how they kind of like people, and it's not just them, but like people are selling early access like some sort of like perk, not it used to be just a
yeah,
pre-order freebie, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
pre-order it, give us your money early now, or you guarantee the sale, and we'll give you early
yeah,
access. But now it's like you literally pay just to play a few days early.
yeah.
Um,
Well, so I think Outlaws is what kind of dug that knife deeper as far as Ubisoft thinking about going in that direction with any other game because I'm sorry, Outlaws did have a 3-day early access.
yeah,
However,
but
it was
they
a
botched it.
train wreck. They
Yeah,
botched the hell out of it. So if you started the game during the 3-day early access, by the time that 3 days was up and the game came out and got patched with the day 1 patch, your save was worthless. So everything that you did and played in those first 3 days got wiped. And
yeah.
obviously that's a big fucking problem for early access. If you're going to give me early access to the game, that stuff's got to jive. My
But you
save's got to
paid for it.
continue. You
It
paid
wasn't
for
just
it.
because you pre-ordered; you paid extra
Right.
for it.
Yeah. 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 You pay like an extra $20 or whatever to get the deluxe edition in the early access.
Yeah,
So I think they're just they're at their backs are against the wall. I think they made a misstep with the characters and shadows. That's obviously a big hurdle they're trying to get over with currently. I do know that people have been pointing, like Japanese historians have been pointing out, like a lot of stuff that's wrong in the trailers for Shadows, which that stuff can be kinked out. I mean, down to the kanjis being Chinese and not Japanese, like the writing's messed up, like things are not
yeah,
good.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll be honest,
I can't believe that
I
that's
was
real. I can't believe that's true because I always took it to heart whenever you boot up like Origins and like Odyssey. It's like, hey, this is made by a multicultural, like multi everything, and like we try to get it right. And I think they did for like Origins and like Odyssey.
yeah,
Obviously, they dip into the fantasy a little bit in those, and they will in this, but um
yeah,
for ever since Origins, they have kind of really made a point to be as accurate, but also recreate these periods of time as best they can. So it was crazy
Yeah.
to me that that turned out to be true. I thought that was just more of just like people kind of generating like nitpicking. But like if they're really kind of misstepping with like Chinese characters and like
Yeah.
Japan, like what are you
Well, you
doing?
know what? So the thing with the Chinese characters is, I believe that was a thing in this time frame where the Chinese
Sure.
characters were
Yeah,
being
yeah.
used in Japan, obviously. So I don't know. I didn't really dive deep into figuring out what that was all about. But it's just, I think using Yasuke as a main protagonist is a misstep. We're gonna build this story about him being this super important part of this time frame and the political stuff going on there, and that's just simply was not the case. Like, he was there for 3 years. The real character was there for 3 years. Like, he didn't have this big arcing story, and everybody wants to, as soon as you say anything about that character, they're like, oh, you just don't like him because he's a minority. Well, we forget that Asians are also a minority, right? And this is a story about their history, and you took a male Asian character out of a video game to put a black one in there.
Right. There
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of ways you can look at that because at one point, like it's the classic, finally, make a game that's like more culturally relevant to me, whoever me is, right? Who the person playing the game, because you people do enjoy playing characters they identify with. So it's like when Ubisoft finally says Assassin's Creed is going to Japan, there's probably a ton of people that want to be a Japanese native, all that. They want to be
Yeah,
Japanese and they want to be a samurai
absolutely.
that's Japanese. So in one slice of it, it is like, yeah, why all of a sudden when outside of Valhalla, where is the main character in Valhalla, and is Basim Viking or is he Arab? So do we have a Viking in Mirage or do we have an Arab in
Yeah,
Norse
right.
Valhalla?
Yeah,
I forget which way that goes, but outside of that, like you play as a culturally accurate character
relevant
for where you
and
are
relevant
at.
character.
That was a
Yes.
thing to me, like that's what Assassin's Creed does. So I would expect it to be that. But at the same time, they do, I mean, it is Assassin's Creed and it's all fiction. For the most part, right? So it's like it is kind of a fun concept though to take a very niche character that was only there for 3 years was a thing. It's a cool thing that it was a thing just for the context of whatever. So I can see why they did it in that perspective because they do need to make this whole brand new story about that. And they still do have like the female Japanese character, which is
Yeah,
always a fun type of character to play. But yeah, I
right.
don't know. It's like to
Yeah, I mean,
me, it more so broke the mold of what Assassin's
yeah,
Creed characters do. So it's
yeah,
why break
that's
the mold
exactly it.
now?
Yeah, that's a 100% it. Every Assassin's Creed game has had a fictional character as their main character. This is the first one that has broken that mold, and we have a real historical figure that you're playing as the main character.
Yeah.
Um, so it broke that mold as well. But they also, out of all the characters they could have, all the historical figures they could have pulled from this time frame to play as,
Mhm.
for my money, this would have been the very last one that I pick. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool story. We've seen it a million times. There's books on it. There's books about how irrelevant he was to the time.
Yeah.
Um, but it is a cool story. Just don't try and sell me on this fact that he changed Japan during this time frame. And that's what you're going to try to do in this game. And I get that that's the fictional part of the story, and they're telling a fictional retelling of this character's life, but it's just like when I heard so this was a rumor that this was going to be that
Yeah.
they were going to have an African American samurai and a female ninja character. This was rumors years before Shadows was even announced. Um, when I first read it, I was like, sounds awful. I mean, I'll just put it out straight out. It sounds terrible. And unfortunately, that's what it sounded like. So when they delayed it, which for the record, I don't know that I'm sure we have, but this was a delay very close to release. Like, you have to remember, this game was supposed to come out next month, and it's been
Yeah.
delayed into February. It was supposed to come out in November, And when did the delay come? September? It came on,
Yeah.
I think, the same day that Ghost of Yotai was announced.
Yep. Correct.
So that's very close to release for a delay. So the rumor when that happened was that they were removing that character out of the game. And I'm like, dude, there's no way I don't think they're doing that. B, if they do that, it's going to train wreck this game because the entire game has been built around that character and that story and people talking to him as an outsider, not being Japanese. There are so many problems you would have trying to remove a main character out of a game. So I don't think that's what they're doing. May they lessen his importance in the story? That's more logical. I don't think he's going away.
But how
but it does sound like it might just be a polished thing.
Yeah, it has to be a polished thing because there's no way they could adjust unless it's really super like unimportant and it's just a character model swap. You know what I mean? But then at that point, it's like, but then what was the point of making that decision in the first place if nothing's tied to it and it doesn't matter? So they're not going to do that. I don't think they're going to backtrack on that.
They can't.
It has to be a polished thing. It should be a polished thing because if they're going to make these decisions, it's got to be an awesome game.
Right.
But also in the premise of where Assassin's Creed has taken place, there is plenty of other opportunities and better opportunities to have a black character in an Assassin's Creed game. There is numerous other opportunities. So it is also odd that in the gaming community, we're finally getting Assassin's Creed in Japan, and you don't get Japanese.
Not playing as a Japanese, right?
So
yeah.
So it's just a really odd way to play that hand. They've had I don't know, Mirage. Maybe have not reused Mirage. Like the main character of Mirage could have been black. Like if that was their MO, was just to say, let's do that. They shouldn't have done it with the Japan one. Like, there's plenty of people that were like, let's go, like Japanese samurai, yada yada. I want to be that there.
Yeah. Exactly. And it sucks.
It's really odd timing on it all.
It is really, it does suck. And it sucks when we look at our background here and we have two big samurai games coming out and not a single male Japanese character you're going to play as in either of them. And that just agitates the crap out of me. I'll be honest with you. And we'll get to Ghost of Yotai. I have a lot to say about Ghost of Yotai, but, or Yotai. I don't even know how you say it, to be honest with you, but I don't know. It's just that they broke too many classic Assassin's Creed rules. You always play as a fictional character. You always play as a character from the region that you're going to. Every single one of them, except for this one. So I know that a lot of people feel the gut punch from that because a lot of people have been waiting for a long time for Assassin's Creed to go to Japan. And I'm sure this was not the coat of paint they thought they were going to be getting on an Assassin's Creed in Japan. And I'll be honest with you, dude. I think it just looks weird. Like the game, like he's huge in the game. Like it just seems like
a little bit of that. Yeah.
It just he just sticks out like a sore thumb, which I'm sure he did back then. He stuck out like a sore thumb.
Well, as any Westerner, anyone from not Japan would stand out because generally it's just like in a Shogun. Like you know, you got European stomping around Japan, like dude sticks out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're loud, they talk funny, they have muskets.
Right. So am I gonna allow any of this to deter me from playing this game? No, dude. This is gonna be a day one pickup for me. Regardless. And I'm probably gonna love the shit out of it, let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
But there is like Ubisoft's kind of having this come to Jesus moment where it's like, okay, that's like we're making some major missteps with our games. They need to bake longer, which seems freaking crazy because Outlaws, I think, took 5 years, and that's usually like Spider-Man 2 took 5 years and did not come out broken and boring. There have been multiple games that have taken 5 years and come out cleanly polished. Yeah. So I don't know what is going on over at Ubisoft, but like something needs revamped over there.
Yeah, and I think people just expect them to be what their little warning label is like just more thoughtful across the board on all of it, and just They've always kind of, they've always, even like Assassin's Creed 3, right? Was it 3? When you play as a Native American,
Yeah.
right? Like they take time to craft these stories and make them like culturally relevant, but also fun because you're playing a part of this Assassin's Creed order. And it's
Hmm.
cool to see how that splinters all across the globe, all these different cultures fighting the
Right.
same agenda of the bad guy. So yeah, it's just odd.
Yeah.
To like bake that all in and like there not to be the typical Assassin's Creed reasoning, but for the decisions that they made. Um,
Yeah.
it's just bizarre. But I mean, I think a
It
female
is.
ninja is fun because it reminds me of what was that game I got you to play? Blade.
Sh Blades of the Shogun? Shadows of the Shogun? I know what you're talking
Um,
about. Shadow
Shadow
Tactics.
Blades of the Shogun, yeah, Shadow
Yeah.
Tactics. The ninja character on the in
Is
that
sweet in
squad,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's awesome. So like
Yeah.
that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, that's cool. Like that I get.
It's
And
funny
especially if it's
because
like in a Grand Theft Auto thing where you can like switch
I think it
characters.
is. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And it's funny because she looks sweet in the game. Like her gameplay that they show off, it looks awesome. Because you do have, and I like the parallels between the two characters, where you have the big brute samurai straight out of Shadow Tactics. The same
Yeah.
thing. He's the brute tank character in Shadow Tactics, and then you also have the stealthy, more traditional Assassin's Creed striking from the shadows in the female character. So I do love the parallel there. It's just, we'll have to see how it pans out and if they can work out, like, obviously something. They deemed this game not ready to launch in November, even though most of the gameplay that we've seen so far looked pretty well put together. So I don't know if there's more than just polish going on over there. Like I said, they just can't remove a character this far into the game. It's impossible,
Yeah.
especially when you look at the story and him being an outsider. Because every character that you talk to as that character is going to probably say something about you not looking like everybody else around you, right?
Yeah.
So you can't do it. So I don't know what's going on over there, but I think Outlaws scared them.
And from a bit, I mean, it should also be like a wake up call. Is like you guys don't have to release like these giant titles this close to each other. Like Outlaws kind of just came out. Like if you guys would have landed that one, you wouldn't have to release you shouldn't release Shadows within 3-4 months after that game came out. So hopefully it was the decision is like, yeah, we don't need to because we're Outlaws is out there. We should
Yep.
have done better with that. Let's try to make that a little better over the next few months and really, yeah, I mean, okay, if Outlaws released the way it did and has, there is 100% work to be done
Oh
on
yeah.
Shadows. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like maybe we should do the day one patch. Like just have it. Like just
Yeah.
have that done and make the day one patch something else.
Yeah.
So to me, it just sounds like they understood that between all the stuff going on, there is no reason to like stick with that.
Right.
No point
And
in all at all.
And I will always be the kind of person that I am perfectly content. Does it suck that they delayed it? Yeah, it does kind of suck that they delayed it. But I will always be on their side if they need more time to polish it. If these games are going to take 5, 6, 7, 10 years like Grand Theft Auto 6 to come
Yeah.
out, they better come out damn perfect. You don't give me Grand Theft Auto 6 and have it be. And Rockstar has never done that in the past and probably never will. That's why their games take so long. And if you just look at how much is in Red Dead 2, you can see why it took them so long to make why it takes so long to make these games.
Yeah.
But just don't. I'd rather you take the time and get a game out instead of rushing it out and we'll patch it later. Because I'm a day one gamer. Most of these games I pick up day one. That's my jam. That's what I do. So I want my games to come out and be playable. And it's seeming
Yeah.
like that is becoming a major issue with some of these big developers. You still have Naughty Dog, Rockstar, you still have big studios, Insomniac, Sucker Punch. Their games come out perfect when they come out. Forbidden West had some issues, but
Eh,
it got resolved rather quick. So
to me for Horizon series, those are complicated games with like the mechanics that
Very,
are going on the
very.
map. Like
Yeah,
there's some
yeah,
big shit moving around
yeah, yeah.
going
Right.
on there.
Yeah,
So I understand if like those things aren't the smoothest when they launch.
yeah,
Versus other games like there's no reason why a game like Red Dead doesn't come out like perfectly. There's no reason why, especially Assassin's Creed game that this series isn't new. It's
yep,
not like Ghost of Tsushima where it's the first in its line,
yeah.
right? So I get it. So, but Assassin's Creed, there's no excuse for Assassin's Creed games not to come out exactly as they ought to.
Polished. Yeah.
Obviously, there are things that need to get worked in later because they are so big and stuff to clean up. But like, that you don't. There's no reason to like
Yeah,
rush
I'm
it.
okay with the if we asked them to put these games out and they were perfect, 100% perfect, these games would take 10 years to make, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, it's
So I'm fine with little stuff here or there. It's the big things. And Outlaws I think is just fundamentally not a fun game. That's the problem with that. So no
right.
matter how polished it gets, there's not really a lot of fun shit you're doing in it. So it's just fundamentally broken at its base there.
Yeah,
And I don't think Assassin's Creed will ever be that. I think they have a very good base model of how these games work and operate and how they've always worked and operated, especially since they've gone to the open world change. Like I think they do open worlds really good. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm
yeah, and
definitely picking it up, but
that's the contrast between I guess Outlaws and like Assassin's Creed is like that's the thing is fundamentally Assassin's Creed games are fun, right?
right.
Like there could be a lot of things wrong with them. And like there's like you hate the way the fighting works for the most part in like Origins because it's more of a hitbox thing. It's not
Yeah.
like blade to
Odyssey.
blade.
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Yeah, like
Well, it's the same, but Odyssey feels way looser, whereas
yeah,
like Origins
yeah.
is much tighter version of
Yep.
that. But it doesn't matter because like fundamentally the thing you are doing in the game all the time is fun. Like yeah, like wipe like in Origins, I don't understand why clearing a fort never gets old to me. Like
Right.
doesn't
Same.
get old. Like,
Same. Yep.
they are so cookie cutter, like,
Yeah.
halfway through the game, but it's
Yep.
like I'm like, "Dude, I do the same one sometimes because, like, the really big ones, they're just fun to move through and
Dude,
just do stuff."
that's how I would there is a really big base in Ghost of Tsushima that has like 40 guys in it. And I've done that base probably 50 times, dude, because I just run around the map and aggro everybody. And then there's like a courtyard. And then it's just like this freaking anime level badass fight between you and
Neo?
40 guys, dude. Yeah, it's so good.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, I think Shadows is gonna be fine. I think Shadows
Oh,
is
yeah.
gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good game.
It looks I mean, I think it looks really good. It's just, there were some missteps. It obviously needs more time in the oven, which we're fine with.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's gonna be fun. It just like if it was, like, if they made a Shogun game and, like, it would be fun playing as the big, lunky, um European
yeah,
in Japan. It will be
yeah,
fun playing as the giant black man in Japan. Like
right,
it's still gonna be fun and it can be a good game. It's just bizarre. Like
yeah,
this is when they chose to do that.
yeah.
And also pick a real character out of history. Like there's just so many weird things with this one where it's
Weird, yes, yep,
like did it come down from the top where they're like, you know what, it's time. You must make a black man the main character,
yeah.
and a female main character. Same time, go figure it out.
In my mind feel like you know the female thing is irrelevant to me. Like that does
Yeah,
the past what two or three Assassin's Creeds have had a female main character that you could select. So that
yeah.
doesn't matter to me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
each
the
one has grown into the
each
point,
one right.
except this was supposed to be probably the one where, or no, never mind. Odyssey was technically a full line because I never play as the dude. You pick. That's right. Yeah, you
Yeah,
pick.
you pick. This is the first one you're not picking. That's another kind of mold breaking. You're going to play as both of them, which I think is cool. I think it works great in Grand Theft Auto 5 and then really any other game that Spider-Man 2, I think it works really good in too. So it's always fun to have two different characters swap between, and it
Hmm.
always prolongs your playthrough because it doesn't get as stale as quickly, especially if those characters are radically different. And these are two radically different fighting styles and characters in general. But I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, the black character thing. I just feel like there are so many other historical places you could go to make a black character that would actually be relevant to the story that you're telling.
Well, that was my point earlier. Is like they've already been plenty of places where they could have done
Right.
that. Like,
Right.
there's no reason Mirage could not have had a black character be the main
Yep.
character.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, technically, Bayek is black, because he has a black voice actor.
He
That's
does. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and like he just portrays that same idea. So I guess Origins is the one to go play. So yeah, it's just weird that they're like, hey, we're going to Japan and these are our characters. It's like, but okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
So
I
let's
want that
get
to be for the right reasons, not
right. Not
for the
for the
wrong reasons.
exactly. And this does appear to be, at least at face value, without playing the game, the wrong reason. But let's move to Ghost.
Tell me about Yotai. The Ghost
So
Anthology series, officially the anthology
so
series.
I'll be honest, dude. I think I went through like the stages of grief watching this trailer, like legitimately. So we know from the show that I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love it, love it, love it. I have been waiting for what seems just like an absurd amount of time for the announcement of a sequel to this game, and I was starting to get concerned that they were maybe not. They were going to go back to Infamous, which was their big games they were doing
Mm.
before Ghost. Um, and then it happened finally at this state of play. You know, there were rumors that we were going to get the announcement of Ghost of Tsushima 2 at this. And did you watch the trailer?
Yes.
So you watch the trailer. So right when it starts up, it shows like a panning shot of Japan in black and white. And I'm like, absolutely Ghost of Tsushima. And it was hitting everything, dude. It was like 1600s. I'm like, holy shit. Like they're going anthology. They're not going to tell Jin's story. I'm all right with it because one of my big hangups with Ghost of Tsushima is it's just set in the wrong time period for samurai, for what I think of samurai.
Yeah.
This is the right time period. Then it goes to Hokkaido, which is in the 1600s, not really part of Japan. It's kind of outside of the rule of the shogun. So I was like, okay. Like I thought we would be going to mainland Japan. That's where everybody thought we were going. They even hinted at it in Ghost of Tsushima, where in the Iki Island DLC, he has a buddy that's going to mainland, and he's like, "I'm not ready to go yet, but I will be someday." They even hint at it. Then they show the poster of this hunter or assassin or whatever they're calling it in this game, and I'm like, "Shit, dude, that looks like a female." And I'm like, please tell me we're not going the female route on this one as well. I can't do Assassin's Creed and this as a female. And unfortunately, yeah, that's the direction we went. And I don't know, dude. It's just for me, the female samurai thing doesn't land. Like it was not a thing. Not in the capacity that they're showing here. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I love Blue Eye Samurai? Love that show, dude. I think that show's badass. Great. And it looks like they're kind of almost telling a Blue Eye Samurai kind of revenge story here.
Sick.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just that, like, if you go back and read my article that I wrote for what we want out of a sequel, this hits almost all of them, and it was hitting them through the trailers, like different time. Didn't hit the main lane Japan, which is fine. Different weapons. We're getting dual katanas, guns, all kinds of different shit. I think it looks graphically a little weird. Some of the shots they showed, it almost looks like Journey to me. I don't know if you remember the PlayStation game Journey. It was a little indie game. If you go look it up, the horse shot where she's riding through the like golden field, it looks like it's ripped right out of that game. I don't know if it's just that area looks weird. I don't know. It just looks very cartoony to me. Where Tsushima didn't. Tsushima was beautiful. It did have like a cartoony flair just because it's so vibrant.
Right. I think it was just too vibrant. They got to bump the contrast down.
Yeah, bump the contrast down a little bit, and we'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still not sold on the female character, especially in this time frame. Like, I just don't think there were female samurai. Don't get me wrong, but not in the capacity they're showing here. I think the female samurais were like mostly protecting the home when the guys were away fighting. So, am I gonna buy this shit day one and eat it the hell up? Yeah, dude. Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna love this game. Let's be honest. It's just it
just a
was
little
like the biggest,
disgruntled
just
that
a
you're
little
gonna.
disgruntled, just a little bit disgruntled. It was like a pretty big kick in the nuts to finally see that
Now,
opening
what if you
shot
can
of
eat
black and white.
meals and like buff her up and make her basically built like a man?
I'd be all for it. Yeah. I'd be all for it 100%. And and you even said when I showed you, you were like, this seems like a DLC for,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and
yeah. It did have DLC vibes. Like it's like, a DLC that comes out years later, where it's just like
like a
a stepstone. Like let's just add
Miles
on to that game.
Morales.
Yeah, Miles
That, yeah.
Morales, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's how they should handle a lot of these situations. If you're not like honestly, I don't know why um we have to like go back and forth about like why can't we just pick our characters at the beginning, right? Obviously, there's situations where story wise, like it can't make sense, and that's fine. But I mean, clearly, a lot, anytime they're making these kind of decisions, we're already bending the mold of like
Right.
any historical accuracies,
Right.
anyways. So it's just make the game agnostic to it, and just I don't know, maybe spend some development time and make it work both ways.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
like
that's how I feel.
if you want girls
Like,
to play as girls and play these games, like, yeah, make a
it's
girl
fine.
female character, but, like
Yeah. What about
there's also
us?
people that don't don't
Yeah.
wanna play that.
And
It's an
and
immersion thing too.
it is for me personally, it is 100% immersion. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been several games that have broke that for me. Horizon was the first one that broke it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I was vehemently against playing as a female character in video
Okay, so we're
games.
making progress.
Yeah, we are making progress. I have busted out of that on Horizon, Control. I'm sure
Oh,
there's
yeah.
other ones I'm forgetting, but now we're getting like Grand Theft Auto 6 as a female character. This it,
But there's no reason Grand Theft Auto shouldn't have female characters.
no, and there's a
Yeah.
male character to play as.
Yeah,
So
right.
there's
Well,
another one
yeah,
to play as.
yeah.
So I just feel like, and maybe like I don't think that's the route they're gonna go, but maybe they drop another trailer for Yotai where it's a male character and you can bounce between them, or you can select your character at the beginning. If you absolutely feel the need to pump these female characters into the game, I'm fine with it. But make it a selectable character at the beginning of the game so we can choose what story we want to walk down and what path we want to take that character down and what character we want to take down that path.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is like, once again, as long as, we're making these decisions for the right reasons, because if it doesn't feel like, if the immersion is the same, like maybe they're telling a completely not a completely different story, but a different story than like we got in Tsushima, where like the immersion doesn't warrant a male character, and the
Right.
story they're telling very much fits a female samurai revenge path story.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's what it, has to be. But if we're kind of like marching around like Jin was, like that's where it's not gonna like mesh well, because also I can't be a samurai weighted down in like
All this armor.
hundreds
Yeah. Yeah.
100 pounds
Yeah.
of armor,
Yeah.
unless like am I a super buff chick that can like
Right.
wear this armor? Like there's just like how does like the all the different armor, like do I get all these samurai armors? I don't know if I can wear all of them.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like that's where the immersion thing is, people want to play as samurais.
And that's exactly it. And we're now getting to huge samurai games where we're not playing as a male samurai. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, Sucker Punch, you're not listening, but if you are listening, if I can't take that damn guitar thing off of her back in this game,
Oh,
you
that's
and I,
right.
you and I are going to be
Is
on
she
the
a
outs.
bard? She's like a
I don't know
bard.
what. Yeah, I don't know what. Like it. Yeah, it's cool, but I just better be able to take it off her back. That's all I care
The
about. Like
little, was it like a lute
I
kind of
don't.
thing, like
It's a
Lute?
Japanese. Yeah, it's a Japanese instrument. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's called. It's got a Japanese
Nope.
name to
It
it.
has to stay there, because when you idle, she's gonna pull it out and
She's gonna
start
pull it
playing it.
out and play it. Yeah, whatever.
Yep.
But
Dance around and
I am curious if this is a full-fledged sequel to Tsushima or if it is a smaller, condensed Miles Morales style thing. Because
Miles
we
or like Mirage. Like even Mirage is a
Mirage, yeah.
smaller
Mhm.
AC game. So like right, is this like a stepstone
Yeah.
between different smaller story, smaller scale? It seems like it might be a smaller scale story just because like I said, the trailer it just has that vibe of just like an extension of Tsushima.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm here for the anthology series. I think that's a
Yeah.
cool way to take it. I loved Jin as a character. The problem with Jin as a character is he's just stuck in the 1200s. You know what I mean? That's his problem. And if you want to tell a really gripping samurai story, you have to be in the 1600s or the mid to late 1800s to tell a really
Yeah.
good political Japanese samurai story.
Right.
So I'm fine with the anthology series. I think that's a cool idea. Will we ever see Jin again? I don't know. I mean, it felt like they were setting up a lot for a sequel, but maybe we never see him again. Maybe this continues as an anthology. And my concern now currently is that we're going to get a female samurai game out of them, and then they're going to go back to Infamous, and it's going to be 20 years till we get another Tsushima or Ghost anthology series.
Yeah, I guess
Or
I mean it's always nice to think that they have like more grandiose plans, and maybe this is like a Mirage type situation, and we will get a Jin sequel. That would be cool. Like they can do it that way,
yeah,
for sure.
it's when Tsushima was coming out, they talked a lot about Red Dead for inspiration on a lot of things, and a lot of the things that they used as inspiration were kind of negative things. So they're a big negative thing. And if you notice when you play Tsushima, if you like pick something up, there's no animation where he like bends over and picks it up.
Ah,
So that was one thing they brought up is like Red Dead makes you sit through these long animations when you're looting bodies or you're skinning animals, but those are all levels of immersion that you're building,
hey,
and that's kind of stripped in
I think
Tsushima.
sometime you know how like Red Dead takes the shortcut on skinning animals. I hate it when it shortcuts me on skinning an animal. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if like when you like I don't know. There's certain series of actions where it does it faster, and then sometimes
So
I'm
I
like, this is getting lazy toward the end because like I'm just I just cut and then rip it off. Like I need a little bit more
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And they really, instead of looking at all of the negative stuff that they think in their mind that Red Dead does with the, long animations and all this stuff, they really should be bringing some of the immersion things in there, inns to stay at. We're now going to Hokkaido, which is not a region under siege by an outside force like Tsushima was. So it did, in a little bit of capacity, make sense that there were no inns to stay at or places to go or restaurants to eat at or any of this stuff. But that's not the case anymore. 1600s Japan is very different from 1200s Japan. So there are these places. Hokkaido's a smaller region. Um, so that's what almost makes me think that this might be a smaller Miles Morales Mirage style entry into it. But yeah, I just hope they add a little bit more immersion quality things in there. It's cool. I love any game that allows me to fight with two katanas. I'm fighting with two katanas, so I love that that's in there. We're going to
Hmm.
see the addition of guns, which is a perk of moving to this period in Japanese history. So that's cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just like for a game that I was so hyped to see a trailer for, I ended that trailer and I felt nothing. Oh, I felt absolutely nothing, dude. Like I was not excited. I was not like, oh, this looks great. I can't wait. There was just nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah, and the other thing that's so like weird to me is then you have people who act like there's no good reason why you should not love or why you should dislike these characters. You know what I mean? Like, there's no good reason why you should not enjoy or be excited about a female character or a black character. But it's like, no, there's plenty of reasons why people prefer not to play that. Maybe that they're really looking forward to a certain type of game, and it just isn't that game.
Yeah.
And I think we've gone through
Well,
that here. It's just like,
yeah,
because immediately people also on the other end write it off if it's like, oh, the reason you don't like the game is because it's a female character. Well, yeah,
I
it's
think
okay.
the big problem there is that when somebody says, "Why are you putting a black character as the main character in a Assassin's Creed in Japan?" It comes across as racist, which is not the case at all. Same with sexist for Ghost of Tsushima. Why is there a female character? That has nothing to do with it. And I know that it can sound like, and there are probably people out there that are like that,
Oh,
that
for
don't want to
sure.
play for those specific reasons. That's not where we're coming from. We're saying simply it doesn't make sense for the time, the location, there's so many other places you could have put a black character in Assassin's Creed. There are really no reason to have a female character in Yotai, as far as I'm concerned, unless there is maybe they're retelling like Blue Eyed Samurai and it's going to be awesome. That's sweet, but show
That
me
would
a
be
little bit of that in
sick.
the trailer. Show me why you decided to go with the
Show me
female
a little bit
character.
of the trailer. Yeah.
Show me something. You know what I mean? Don't just slap a female character on there, call her a samurai, and assume everybody's going to be okay with it. And I think that game got a lot of hate from that trailer. Like there are a lot of people that are upset over it. So you just have to understand as a studio, if you're going to go in making these decisions, yeah, you're going to make some people happy, but you're also going to probably piss off an equal amount of people and devoted fans, which I've been for Tsushima since it came out.
Yep.
So missteps. That's all we're talking about here, except for Red Dead. There were no missteps in that one.
Oh,
They
apparently
did a good
not.
job. That's the only
Game's
one we
perfect.
talked about. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that, in the politically charged arena that we're living in 2024, you got to be careful with some of these
takes.
decisions you're making.
Oh yeah, even yeah. That's the thing. Is like, it's people aren't dumb. Like when something just doesn't like check out, obviously it could all change. Get the game, it could all make awesome, great sense. But just make sure it does. Like that's people's worry. Is like they're worried a game they're looking forward to has had decisions made that are pretty fundamental to the experience of playing the game for all the wrong reasons, right? Just because it's not a
Yeah.
good reason.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
the
just
worry.
like, I don't know, dude. Yeah. It just seems like every game that we've played that they're all going to female characters. It seems like, does it not? Like The Last of Us, you're playing as a female. Horizon,
Yeah,
you're playing as a female. Like where
yeah. But on
I
the other
guess
end of it,
now that we're being equal, I can't wait for the next Horizon game to have a male character as the main character. I'm pumped for it. Since we're being equal across the board, everybody's going to get a fair shake here.
no,
We'll
we will
wait.
not change Aloy.
That's
She dies.
see but the big difference there is that Aloy feels like she belongs in that story and in
Yeah,
that world. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, which these two games do in my eyes. Will it feel like
yeah.
that when we play them? Maybe not.
But that's the other the strength of being in 100% fictional world too. Like, are we building fictional stories and like that's like, um like anime. Like anime is so flexible is because like everything about anime is so unrealistic. Like that's the point of it. Is
Right.
like these female characters can be you know, the way they want them to be. Just like Blue Eyed Samurai.
Yeah.
Or like, Aloy. Like she's not wearing samurai armor that unless
Right.
like are they gonna make samurai armor that is like female specific and
Female
like looks
specific.
and
Yeah.
functions correct as it would, I guess.
Yeah.
But like Aloy, like she wears like the outfit she wears because it makes sense for that world. So I think that's
And
just like the hurdle is like how are we morphing real things into things that just aren't.
well, yeah,
Which if that's what you're doing, then do that. But Assassin's Creed is tricky. Like we said, the entire franchise has a certain base layer of
has a
principles.
mold. Yeah.
Has a
And
mold.
it was broken beyond belief. Yeah. So here, at the end of the day, dude, like for Ghost, it's probably going to be badass to go in there and beat the shit out of a bunch of guys as a female. Like it's going to be
Oh yeah.
sweet. Don't get me wrong. I just I'm going through the stages of grief. I'm not quite through it yet. I'll eventually get to the day where I'll enjoy this game and the idea of it, but I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
You had they need to prove it. Like that game needs to be
prove
awesome.
it. Yeah, prove it.
Sell it. Sell it to me.
Yep. Hmm.
Make it good. Don't make me feel like I should have just been playing, like I could have just played as a male character and like check that box or a bunch of other boxes. Like don't
Right.
let that happen. Like convince me like, "Oh, this makes sense. I get it now." Um
Yep.
so
I agree.
they'll bend around that. Speaking of though of things that are Japanese, I've been on a huge stint with my Lego, and I'm rebuilding my um my one my one castle here.
Oh,
So like
dude, yes. That
in the
is
back
sick.
there,
Holy crap.
is like a set from the 2000s, is like the Flying Ninja Fortress, but I've built this outer like area to it,
Dude,
which is
that is
like the front.
sick, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I've always heard you talk about your Lego stuff, but I didn't realize it was at this level. I mean, that's sweet.
Yeah, so like this is like the
And you're
original
not
set.
following any direct. Is
No.
this all put together from different sets?
No, no, no. So like this back here, like this piece in
Yeah.
the back, that's a set from like the 2000s, from a theme. So I've just taken
Okay.
my parts and like emulated its aesthetics to all of this out here
Wow.
from
Dang.
scratch.
That's freaking sweet. Yeah.
I added this like little treasure
How
hole
long
down
that
here.
take you to build?
Maybe 12 hours.
Wow. Jeez.
It was
So
like
is it
over a
like
course
just
of
like
like
a
3 nights, 4 hours at a time.
it's just like a peaceful thing for you to go down there and just
Oh yeah. It's kind of
Are
like a
you
game.
do you glue these
No,
pieces together? No.
no, no.
Dude, it's sick, bro.
Oh yeah. I'm obsessed.
And they have like the cool thing is they have that whole Ninjago set that you can fill out with Japanese style samurai looking characters because we were on quite a kick there where we were going to search Roy's and buying up all the Ninjago like loose figures that they had.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Let me
it's pretty
drag it.
freaking epic, dude. Well, you got like a
Yeah.
little kitchen there and stuff.
No, no,
What is
that's the
that?
treasure. That's the treasure
Oh, that's
hold.
the treasure.
Got like the
Oh
samurai
yeah, okay, I
swords
see
and
it
stuff
now.
on
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the original set, and I just kind of draw from that. No, yeah, and like the Jago is great because there's a lot of great like samurai ninja Japanese things that they introduced through it. But this theme back in the day is just like it was just top notch. Like
Yeah,
the way that like this is the original set back here, like these three
yeah.
towers that I just kind of built out from it.
So did you have that set already or did you buy it?
No, I had that set already.
You had it
And I've
already,
just
gotcha.
slowly like at one point in my display table, it was just that set built into like the world. And then I bought these parts, these like wall elements that were from the
Yeah,
original set. I bought a bunch of them off of like a Lego eBay basically. So now I was able to make this like extended like ramparts, like because I wanted that Japanese look where you have two tiers, like just like in Tsushima or any of that, like you move up the first tier and then you're on a new tier.
right.
Like I had
Yeah,
that going. So now I've gone another leg, and instead of just having like a wall with stairs and then like a nice entrance, I'm adding this like gatehouse to it.
yeah. It's sick, dude. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I've been
I can't believe you
obsessing
built
over
it
it.
that quickly. Like that would take me
Oh
6
yeah.
months to build
Oh no.
that.
Now I'm currently working on because it's gonna in this direction there will be a mountain along the side. I'm kind of trying to work like should that mountain be closer or like should I have like a grove? So I'm trying to work out how it looks on the overall table. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
the because this will be the edge
So
of the table here.
do you like draw out plans or you're just sitting there just building and moving stuff away freehand?
Yeah, just freehand. Just like kind of little like tear it down, build it back up, adjust it, take sections off, redo sections. So I go through different iterations to get there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
pretty proud of
That's
this. I saw
sick.
someone do this on Instagram, but it's like this is like a white picket fence.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my son. It's like a white picket fence element, but like the brick can go over top of it, so it makes it that like Japanese shutter
Oh
effect
yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
see in those
yeah,
upper floors of like a Japanese castle.
yeah.
I've been looking at pictures of Japanese castles as well to kind of like make it
Get
somewhat
inspired.
accurate,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah. But I love drawing from like original sets too, and like when
And
they
go
have
back to
like a
that
really
picture
good
you were
theme.
just on. Back the other way up. You
What,
have
tall neck?
is that the tall neck?
Yeah, it's the tall neck set.
That's sick. Dude, I want so they're finally we wanted this for so long. The boys and I, they finally have Zelda Legos now. Like there's a set they just
Yeah,
came out with.
uh, it's mad expensive because it has a Nintendo
It's
tax
so
on it.
expensive, bro. Yeah, it's so expensive. I'm like,
The
yeah.
Nintendo tax
Look
is
at
worse
this.
than the Star Wars tax, the Disney
Oh, I
tax.
bet. I bet.
The Nintendo one's so bad. But yeah,
Yeah.
they have, yeah, the Zelda set is, it's a cool set for sure.
It's a cool set. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
just the only way you can get any of it is that like $350 set. Um,
Right.
but
Which is absurd, I think. But
oh, it's so much
I'm
money.
sure they're going to come out with because Mario started like that as well. The Mario Lego sets were super expensive, and then they started coming out
Right.
with cheaper ones. But
Yeah, Lego's leaning really hard into the whole like adult market as they should. Just because like
yeah, I
we
agree.
all have, we have the money to mostly spend on these things
Right, right.
as adults. But the problem though is the same problem that we hope rumors are that like this will break, but like in 2022 they came out, or 2023 they came out with the Rivendell set for Lord of the Rings, $500, super expensive.
Jeez.
But like it was the first Lord of the Rings set in like 10 years, because they
Yeah,
had the Lord of the Rings and Hobbits lines back when the Hobbit movies were coming out in like 2012. But it's like the first time in 10 years they do a Lord of the Rings set. It's an amazing set, but it's $500. So like if you want
five
like
hundred
Lord of the
bucks.
Rings
Yeah,
stuff, like you're spending an arm and a leg, because the old stuff's super expensive on the secondary market, and the official set that Lego sells is expensive. Then they came out with
yep.
Barad-dûr, which was 460, not as expensive, but still ridiculously expensive. So the hope is that they're going to release like sub 50, sub $100 sets, right? Like people would like some army builders and like stuff like that. So hopefully they kind of swing back into the smaller sets, and maybe they will sell it as well. But it's hard though, because right now, if you're a Zelda fan and you also like Lego or just like that for like a display piece, they're kind of going to corner you into spending. If you want
Yep.
Zelda as a minifigure, like you're either buying them by itself for
You
like
get it.
$40, or you're buying the set.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's tricky. It's like I get why they don't, but it would be really nice if they did. Because also, like, don't
Yep.
forget about the kids. Like, there are just kids out there, guys. They just want
That want
a
it.
Zelda
Yeah.
minifigure. Don't be rude.
Yeah.
Don't make their
Yeah. That's
parents buy
exact. I
the.
mean, that's exactly it. Is obviously Roman's obsessed with Zelda, and that's what he wanted for the longest time was a Zelda Lego figure, and we I think we eventually like pieced pieces together from different characters to
Yeah.
get a Link looking character, which was fine. But now they actually have it, and I'm like, I've been trying to like turn his head the other way at the stores if we like see it or something, so he's not like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
so
he's been trying to.
I'm in a Japanese kick, but in Lego, in Lego
In
form.
Lego Japanese
Yeah.
kick, yeah. We'll have to see, dude, because I might have to, if I decide to go for that platinum on Red Dead, I might need you to come in and back me on online stuff, because a couple of the things you have to be in like a posse, so I think you have to have like
Mm,
other people playing with you.
okay. I never played
So I
online.
might.
It's always intrigued me, but I've had
It's
friends that play it, but like it just seems like something to I'd have to break into, and I'm just afraid of it. I don't
It
want
is.
to.
Yeah, that's how I am too. That's how I am too. I actually I hate playing online with other people so much that I changed my internet settings on my PlayStation to allow me to get into a solo lobby by myself, because you can't just do it within the game. So I like lowered my MTU to a certain amount, which would only allow
Mm,
me to not to just play with myself and nobody can join me. And that worked out pretty good because the random events in the game are kind of spliced between everybody that's playing. So when there's
Right.
nobody else playing, you get all the so the world feels a lot more alive when you do it that way
No,
versus
that's
when you're
cool.
just playing at its
Yeah.
base. But there's like little hurdles to get over. Like my horse freaking sucks and runs out of energy in like freaking 3 taps of the X button. So it's like super annoying. But I started to get the hang of it. And there's way cooler clothes online too. Like there's like leather
Yeah.
jackets and shit. There's like really cool stuff. But
Cool. Cool.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's it.
You make me want to play it again, but I don't. I just have way too many other things I have to play. Like
Yeah.
I can't even finish. I'm not even done with Forbidden West. It's gonna take me freaking forever, and I want to play
Yeah.
Mirage. Like I'm so behind in Assassin's Creed. I'm not gonna play Shadows for like 2 years at this rate.
Probably. Yeah.
Um, Luckily, though, the only benefit to this is that I get to skip things like Outlaws and save money because people tell me just like, meh, don't. And I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. I'm
It's
like,
like
yeah, no
just
problem. I didn't plan on it.
yeah. It's like it's okay, dude. It just feels like it feels like one of those shitty license games we used to get in the 90s. Like
Ooh,
you'd get the like Spider-Man license game and it was just not
yeah,
very good. That's kind of what the feeling that it has. Like it's like a Disney Infinity style version of a Star Wars Outlaws. Like it could have been so much darker and grittier for being a crime drama, which is
no,
basically what it is.
dude. I mean the RTS, the Empire at War. I don't know if you ever played that for Star
Yeah.
Wars, but they
Yep.
had like the Forces of Corruption expansion, which was just all the criminal stuff. Like it was basically a third faction in the galaxy where like the crime, like just being the corrupted crime people, is like a faction.
Yeah.
And you can like infect worlds with your crime like Empire or Rebellion. But also, but it had that gritty factor is why I bring that up because like the the main characters of that like consortium were just they were just bad. They're bad dudes. Like
Right. And
they're
that's what I feel is like kind of missing from this. It's just got like I said, it's just got that Disney paint on it, you know what I mean? Where they kind of
yeah,
dumbed it down. They could have made it way darker. But even
yeah.
like even the crime syndicates, I like you have the Hut Cartel, you have the Pikes, you have Crimson Dawn, and then who's the fourth?
Crimson Dawn's from Solo. It's so they're so badass.
Yeah, and Ashiga is the fourth. So even then, like I would have loved to see like the Black Sun in there. Would have been way
Yeah,
cooler, I
that's weird.
think.
There's no Black
Um,
Suns in there.
no Black Suns. So I don't know.
Got the Pikes.
It's like
That's good.
yeah, the Pikes are in there. Crimson Dawn's in there. The Huts are cool.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's funny though, because like my son watches the Young Jedi Adventures, and I just think it's
mhm.
funny. Like I get it's a kids show, and they like water everything way down as they should. Um, but sometimes I fear like Disney just has that like flavor over everything, where it's like the bad guys are really just out to like make someone's day not nice.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
like we're talking about criminal like galactic
Criminal underworlds.
syndicates
Yeah. Drug dealing, criminal,
spice
galactic
slinging,
syndicates. Yeah.
backstabbing.
Like these are not good people that we're talking about
Solo
here.
Solo did a good job at
Yeah.
showing all of
Mhm.
that. It's I mean Solo is one of my favorite. I love that Star Wars
I
movie.
love Solo.
I don't care
Yeah,
what
I
anyone
absolutely
says.
love it. I don't care either. Yep. I'll go to my
That's
grave fighting for
they
that.
sh- heavens forbid we just make like a Solo franchise and just like it's just like smuggling, swindling, like no
Yeah.
good Han Solo out there. Like and
But
he's like he's that character though. Like that's the point. Is like he was the like he had the Disney flair because like he was a likable kind of like shitty person.
right. Yep.
Right? He's like the top swag daddy of like what you could be a smuggler around all this otherwise dark, gritty stuff. So if you want to explore that, that's how you do it. So I don't, heavens forbid we just use one of the
Han
greatest
Solo
characters to explore
as
that.
the character. Yeah. 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 Dude, to be honest with you, that probably would have took the game over the top if you were playing as Han Solo in this game. Like that probably would have been enough to push it over to play now type of deal versus a wait for
Yeah.
a sale if you even want to play it. But we're in the 2024 where we just have to have a female character as the main character, and Han
Just gotta
Solo
do it.
unfortunately is not female. So
Just let me play as the IG unit. I'll be
that
I'll
I'd
be
be
good.
happier. Yeah, dude, those things are sweet, bro. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
IG-88 was like my jam back in the day, like Shadows of the Empire. Like, oh, dude, so good,
Just seeing an
so good.
Assassin's Creed Star Wars game where you just play as droids. Just fix it
You know,
right
I
there.
think
You can
I think a lot
customize
of
all your
people,
parts. You can be and you can change your voice.
yeah,
You can be male, female,
it'd be
anything in
whatever you want
between.
to
You're just a
do.
droid.
Yeah, yeah, whatever you want to
Just
do.
a robot.
Yeah, it's funny because for the longest time, for like the character in a video game, like I think that I'll go back to Mass Effect for this one. So Mass Effect
Mm,
allows character creation. And I for the most part, I don't really want a character creation. I want you to give me a character that I'm going to play as. I don't want to play as Chad Kinsey in Mass Effect or whatever
yeah, you
game I'm
do.
playing. But now I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, fuck, give me the create a character because I don't all these characters that we're getting are shit. So
Yeah,
it's weird because I've always been kind of, even in Mass Effect, I left it just baseline Commander Shepard. You know what I mean? I didn't change
yeah.
anything. I want that character. I don't want to build my own and change my name and all this
And
crap.
and I feel like that would have been really good for Outlaws is to be more open ended like that, where you do create your character. Like, hey, you wanna role play as like a an outlaw in Star Wars? Here, be
Yeah.
whatever you want to be. Like, it's weird that I thought it was weird that they picked any sort of just canned character for you to like play as in a game like that. Like I get
Yeah.
why like Cal Ket, in Jedi, you have a canned character because it's very important to the story. Whereas like
Right.
if we're just kind of open world, like choosing our own fate, earning money,
Scoundrel
doing
style. Yeah.
like let me just be whatever that is.
Yep.
So I thought that was weird from the get go that like they kind of force you to play as a singular character. I'm like, this is not Jedi. Like I'm not playing as really a story character.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you'll see. I think Jedi Survivor is just vastly superior to anything that this game even attempts to try to do. In
Yeah,
every single turn that it goes down, Jedi Survivor beats it. Graphics,
I own
performance,
that. I need to play
gameplay,
that. We need to play
characters.
that.
We are playing that, yeah,
I
and
know.
we are.
We need to get to
Yeah,
that. That's coming soon on a
it
Patreon near
is.
you.
Yes, get me pumped
Um,
up for Disney here in December.
Disney
I was
month.
a little worried about the hurricane. I'm not going to lie. So we were supposed to go to Disney last year, and Brady
Oh,
broke his leg in football, so that got pushed another year. And then now we're here in October, and a hurricane's going to go right through Orlando, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is just a disaster. And it ended up, I think they opened up the next day, so it was
yeah, it
nothing
was pretty
big, but
mild.
yeah,
Well, mild for the most part. News
for
makes it
them,
seem really
yeah,
scary. Yeah, for them. It was supposed to go right over Orlando, but it was
hmm
dissipated. Tampa put up the seawall and was like, shall
yeah,
not pass.
yeah.
Um,
So, so we're done with Demon Slayer with Brady. I am going to tease this because we are going to do this episode sometime. He brought up the idea of just having like a unplugged talk about anything episode because he's like super into space. And when we went on vacation this year, every night we would sit out in the hot tub together and talk about space. And
nice.
it was like 2 hour long conversations where we're just sitting there bullshitting about space and aliens and all this stuff. And he's like, we should do an episode like that. I wanted to try to do
In
it
the hot
like
tub.
in the hot tub. Yeah. I wanted to try and do it like, it would be difficult for me to do this. I don't even know how I would. I wanted to do it like outside. So we're like sitting outside at night, just
Oh yeah.
looking up at the sky and talking. But he's very knowledgeable with space stuff. Like he gives me like random facts all the time. Like, how do you even like where'd you even find this at? But
Yeah. That
he's
sounds
always been
like
like
his
that.
MO.
Yeah, he absorbs stuff really well. I remember when he was like 3 or 4 years old. He woke up and he had his iPad next to him in bed, and it was like at the end of a Titanic documentary, like hour and a half long Titanic documentary. And then he told me all about it at breakfast. Like it hit an iceberg and all the stuff that happened. And I was like, dude, like you're 4 years old and you're watching a documentary about the Titanic. Like, what are you?
Just learning stuff.
Just learning stuff. Yeah, he loves it. He loves the space stuff. Interstellar's coming to theaters in December for their 10th anniversary, coming to IMAX. So
IMAX only?
IMAX only, I believe. Yes.
That might be worth.
It's worth it because that's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, you haven't
never
seen it in IMAX?
Never seen it in theaters. Yeah, never seen it in theaters, period. So it's going to
be awesome, dude.
It seems too perfect because December 6th, we wrote in as our kind of rest day in Disney, and that's the day that it comes out in theaters.
That's resting.
That's perfect. Yeah,
that's perfect. Sure. That's awesome.
So
nice. Well, call that a night. Good chat, good catching up, talking about the things. Man. I hope Red Dead continues or maybe ends. Might be better if it just ended. It sounds like you've squeezed that game as dry as it can, especially when you're talking about these infinity glitches and traveling through space and time. And
you would think that is the case.
I feel like you've reached the end of that road.
But I in my mind, I have not. Like I went back to it today. I'm not gonna lie. I was off of it for a little bit. I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I was jiving with 5, and then just something in my brain was like, meh. Red Dead's calling.
Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week. We'll be talking about Koromon with Ugly Kid Joe Cross. So we have another gaming episode. Mike finally convinced me to play a Pokemon-like game. Keyword is it's like Pokemon, and I think I'm fine just staying away from Pokemon at this point in my life. So I am enjoying this like Pokemon game, but we'll talk about that next week. Till then, catch you later.